Astros, and welcome to Storytime with me, Teacher Gigi. And boy, do we have a fun story to read together, and we get to snack on something delicious in our activity bag. So I want you to go into your activity bag and get your bag of cookies for this story. But don't open them and eat them right away quite yet, because we're going to do some math while we listen to our story. So let's open our bag together, and I'm going to dump my cookies on a plate that I have next to me. And if you want to go get a plate, you can too. And we're going to count how many cookies we have on our plate that are in our bag. So let's count my cookies, and then you can count your cookies with me, and we can do it together. We might have a different number, but let's count together anyways. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 cookies. How many cookies do you have, Astros? Again, we might have a different number. So when we have counted our cookies, we are going to read the story, The Doorbell Rang by Pat Hutchins. And when we hear, or we pretend to hear, the doorbell ring, we get to eat 1 cookie. How many cookies do we get to eat? 1. So we're taking away cookies and putting them in our bellies, and then at the end of the story, we're going to see how many cookies we have left over. Okay? So let's get started on our story. The Doorbell Rang by Pat Hutchins. I've made some cookies for tea, said Ma. Good, said Victoria. We're starving. Share them between yourselves, said Ma. I made plenty. It's a big batch of cookies on a plate. That's 6 each, said Sam and Victoria. They look as good as Grandma's, said Victoria. And they smell as good as Grandma's too, said Sam. Astros, it looks like they counted their cookies on a plate so that they can share them between themselves. No one makes cookies like Grandma, said Ma, as the doorbell rang. Okay, Astros, it's time to eat 1 cookie. It was Tom and Hannah from next door. Come in, said Ma. You can share the cookies. What are they going to do with the cookies, Astros? They have more people. How are they going to share them together? That's 3 each, said Sam and Victoria. They smell as good as your grandma, said Tom. And they look good, said Hannah. No one makes cookies like Grandma, said Ma, as the doorbell rang. 1 cookie. It was Peter and his little brother. Come in, said Ma. You can share the cookies. Looks like they're going to have to do math and see how many cookies they can share between all of their friends, Astros. That's 2 each, said Victoria and Sam. They look as good as your grandma, said Peter, and they smell as good. Nobody makes cookies like Grandma, said Ma, as the doorbell rang. It was Joy and Simon with their 4 cousins. It's a lot of people, Astros. Come on in, said Ma. You can share the cookies. Astros, there's so many people. How are they going to share the cookies? How many are they going to have? I wonder. Let's find out. That's 1 each, said Sam and Victoria. They smell as good as your grandma, said Joy. And they look as good, said Simon. No one makes cookies like your grandma, said Ma, as the doorbell rang. We heard it. And rang. We got to eat another cookie. Oh dear, said Ma as the children stared at the cookies on their plates. Astros, how many cookies does each person have on their plate? Just one. Do you think they can share if more people come? How could they do that? Perhaps you better eat them before we open the door. We'll wait, said Sam. Was that nice of Sam to open the door even if more people were going to come? I think that was a kind thing to do. It was Grandma with an enormous tray of cookies! I didn't know that was going to happen. How nice to have so many friends to share them with, said Grandma. It's a good thing I made a lot. And no one makes cookies like Grandma, said Ma as the doorbell rang. The end. Wasn't that a fun story and such a treat to eat cookies at the same time? How many cookies do we have left? So Teacher Gigi started with 8 cookies. And now let's see how many cookies I have left. I have 1, 2, 3. So we started with 8. Now I'm going to take away 3. 1, 2, 3. How many cookies did Teacher Gigi eat during our story? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I ate 5 cookies. How many cookies did you eat, Astros? Now that our story is over, you can either eat the cookies all by yourself, or you could share your cookies with somebody in your house. Thanks for joining me for our story time. Bye-bye.